everyone, it's Shane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer. Welcome to the Wasteland. And this is my weekly show where I take a deep dive into a particular film. And, Spielberg did an animated movie, and we're going to talk about it. And that's The Adventures of Tintin. And I have Robert, one of my good friends here from Sif Pop, coming on and joining me to discuss. So, Robert, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on yet again.
And bring on the shameless plugs. So shamelessly plug whatever you'd like to shamelessly plug, Robert.
Yeah, let's just say Twitter, before it burns to the ground, is _ Rob's thoughts. And Letterboxd is just straight up Robert's thoughts, no spaces, no special characters.
I have an important question to ask. Will you pay the $20 fee once you get a blue check?
No, I have thoughts on that. It's just, the blue check is for everyone else, not for the person with the blue check, like to see whether, hey, is this Guillermo del Toro tweeting or is this some faker?
You want to be real, you got to pay for it. Okay. Welcome to America. Monetize everything. Everything. So besides fun Twitter news that we could probably spend the whole entire hour talking about, we're here to talk about movies. And
I much prefer that.
Yeah. If you have never tuned into Welcome to the Wasteland before, there's 3 parts of the show: coming attractions, our main feature, and some recommendations for you. And I'm 2 months out of finishing Spielberg at this point, and that's kind of crazy. Been doing this since April? ? Pretty sure. And it's been decided. John Carpenter. So the people have spoken, specifically my brother and all of his friends have spoken, and we have John Carpenter coming up next, who I'll be doing from January to the beginning of May. So not quite as illustrious of 40 films like Spielberg and Scorsese, but still going to take me a while. But here we're talking about Spielberg's first and only foray into animation. But before we get there, this episode is coming out on November 4th, 2022. And Robert, what movie are you most excited about?
Well, what movie I will be seeing on November 4th is Armageddon Time. I think I've seen, 2 or 3 James Gray movies? 3, right? He did The Rover, didn't he?
I don't believe so.
Oh, then who did The Rover?
I think it's a director who did The Menu.
I'm throwing us off course already. Anyway, I really love Ad Astra, and The Lost City of Z is also really good. Mm-hmm. And James Gray is doing his version of Roma and talking about what he, doing an autobiography of his childhood. And he's a very good director, so I'm really interested in seeing where this goes, especially with Jeremy Strong, Anthony Hopkins, Anne Hathaway. Maybe some others who I might be missing.
Who's doing his best work in his career, and he's 80. So there you go.
Incredible stuff.
To confirm, Daniel Michaud did The Rover, and he did not do The Menu either. So we're both wrong. So there you go. It's Mark Mylod's doing, I think, The Menu. I got
the guy from Succession.
There we go. But yes, I love Ad Astra. I'm a big sci-fi fan, and that's right up my alley. And you're telling me you're adapting Heart of Darkness into space, and Tommy Lee Jones is Kurtz at the end? I'm just you got my attention. And I love The Lost City of Zed because I'm just I hated Charlie Hunnam. Most specifically because of Pacific Rim and his horrible, inconsistent accent. But I saw that movie, I'm dang, he could act. And then
he's really good in that.
Yeah, and then he keeps popping up in Guy Ritchie movies. I'm dang, he can act. I really like him now. So, and I appreciate that James Gray's 3 films that I'm aware of are all very different too. And obviously this is very personal. It feels like the personal time to do things, Spielberg's doing it. I'll be getting to The Fabelmans at the end of December with Foster and Rowan. So that's going to be a fun conversation. But yeah, I am excited about Armageddon Time. The only thing that could get me more excited than this is Weird Al Yankovic. It's weird. I am one of the biggest Weird Al fans you'll probably ever meet, Robert. So when I found out that they're going to do a biopic, I'm like, yes, please. And then I found out Daniel Radcliffe was in it. I'm just like, what? And then I found out that it's a spoof of biopics. I'm like, yes, you have my money now.
There's nothing I want more than this right now.
No. And it like, I even said in my review that I wrote for Sip Up, I'm just like, you know, you could have Walk the Line, you could have Ray, or you could have Walk Hard and then just go for it. And that's basically what this is. So, and it's hilarious from start to finish. But like, I'm so excited for this, and I can't wait for other people to check it out because I want to talk to people about it.
I can't wait to see it. I know you already saw it, but I really can't wait to see it either. I remember Weird Al did some sort of announcement. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said like something about the real story of, and I know this is what he said was like, I know this is the role that Daniel Radcliffe is going to be most remembered for in 30 years or whatever. It's just incredible stuff. And you just know, even from the announcements, that like the press releases, that this is a total farce.
I kind of draw the line with all my movie stuff at like film festivals because like I've been invited to do stuff like that. It's too much on top of my job, and I got invited to do a bunch of Philly film festival stuff, and then I'm like, when I found out that Weird Al showed up at the screening of Weird, I'm like,
the first time you regretted not going.
It's the biggest regret of my life. The single biggest regret of my life is that not that I missed out on meeting Ryan Johnson. No, I missed out on seeing Weird Al Yankovic in person. So I hope people go check this out. The only crappy thing is like it's a Roku original. So like you have to watch this on Roku. So if you don't have
it's free though, right? Isn't the Roku channel a free streaming? So I think it's like Tubi.
Well, if that is the case, y'all better go download it, go watch it. Because that's the thing. I didn't know if you have to have a Roku device to watch it.
I don't think so.
Well, I have a Roku TV and like 2 Rokus. So like if I hadn't seen it already, I'm like, I'm ready to go.
You're set.
But I'll lend my Roku to people if they need it, just so that they can watch Weird. It's an interesting weekend because like, it's stuff expanding, and I'm hoping that Banshees of Inisherin starts popping up in more cities because like it was in like 8 last weekend, and like when we saw it was only in 2. We felt real special. So
a nice packed theater.
Yes, it was, and I was definitely laughing a lot watching that movie. I did appreciate Foster's review with the person behind him who was having the time of his life, apparently.
I had the same thing happen to me at Clerks 3. There was this guy right behind me who thought it was like the best movie of all time, the funniest thing he'd ever seen. When it ended, he's like, "Oh, that was the best movie I saw in a long time." I was like, good for you, man.
What was it, Alex or Frank?
It could have been.
I like, to be honest, I saw that and I'm just like, I got a screen in front. I'm like, oh my God, Kevin Smith can still make movies. And I enjoyed this. It definitely wasn't Yoga Hosers.
Yeah.
Yoga Hosers. Sorry, not sorry. But what we're here to talk about today is The Adventures of Tintin, which is a 2011 animated feature from Steven Spielberg, which is based off of the book series by Hergé. That is how my wife told me to say it because that's French. I'm like, Herge. So, but what's so interesting is this screenplay is written by Joe Cornish, Edgar Wright, and Stephen Moffat. And I'm like, produced by Peter Jackson. Directed by Steven Spielberg. It's just like, how many more talented people can you possibly get into a room to put this movie together? And not only that, the cast of this is really impressive too, because like Jamie Bell was in a very interesting point in his career because, he's Billy Elliot. And then before getting into like some more adult roles, and of course, Andy Serkis had to be in it because
Of
Peter
course.
Jackson was involved.
And because it was motion capture.
Exactly. Daniel Craig, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are in it because Edgar Wright was involved.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's bash all these together because, all these people know each other. But Robert, what interested you on coming on to talk about the adventures of Tintin?
Well, when I come and do these with you, I don't always like to choose, like Indiana Jones or Jaws, the ones that thousands and thousands of
Yep.
people have talked about, where I don't know if I have anything new to say about them.
Yep.
I respect you for what you're doing and going through all of them. It's just me personally, I'm like, I don't know. It's like Jaws is cool, great. But I want to give some attention to some of the smaller stuff like Tintin, which I think is really, really good and underappreciated for what it is. The first time I saw it, I was not blown away by the story. We can get into that, but definitely blown away by the animation. And my stance was and still is that this is what animation should be, taking full advantage of the medium and getting extremely creative with it. And it's not creative in the same sense as like Wolfwalkers, but like if you're doing 3D animation, take advantage of it. Don't just do shot reverse shot. Don't cut your action scenes to death, and who could you trust more to do it and be innovative than Steven Spielberg?
Exactly. And I was sitting here watching this, and in context, like, I had just watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull recently for this, and I'm like, this was a better Indiana Jones movie than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And like, I was sitting there feeling like this felt like Spielberg really returning to like that action adventure spirit that he had with the first 3 Indiana Jones films. And I love that about it. And, this doesn't really pull punches. Like, Tintin's a child, pulls out a gun on people. Like
Repeatedly.
Yeah, this is not like, oh, I'm helpless. No, this kid's just like, yeah, I'll shoot you. Just like, I'm not messing with this kid. With like his little blonde fluff of hair, and just like, yeah, he's unexpectedly resourceful about this. And
he's also a journalist. I'm trying to figure out like how old this kid is.
Man,
he's had lots of experiences.
France is an interesting place. Like, young journalists are just whipping out guns and protect themselves, and people get shot right on the street outside of people's homes. That's where I'm just like, wow, this is like, it is like fun adventure for kids, but like, no, this has some serious stakes right now. And it deals with alcohol.
And the landlady just hand waves the dead body on her front porch.
Yes. Oh, the old lady's just like, not again.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this happens regularly when Tintin's involved. Tintin just, this is a walking like spirit of death, apparently. But I guess, Robert, what were some of the things that, and I know you mentioned the animation and really maximizing, but what are some of the things that really stuck out to you most about this film?
It really is the animation, because sometimes you have to take a movie for what it is, and not to discount what an adventure movie can be, but like, when you're watching an adventure movie like this, you want good adventure and exciting visual spectacle, and that's exactly what you get from this. Like, there is a noticeable lack of almost any character moments, except for maybe like a handful. But apart from that, it's just kinetic from beginning to end. That action scene towards the end is legitimately one of the best action sequences in a movie of the last 15 years. So that's what I come out of it thinking, just like how fun and how energetic it is in all the best ways.
Absolutely, because like there's plenty of moments where it's just like, them, it really does like go for the action adventure elements, and like like the characterization is like, basically the biggest character stuff is, will Captain Haddock, will he be an alcoholic or won't he be?
Yeah.
Is he going to take a drink? And I like how the dog forces a drink on him at one point. And even from like, you know, it's exciting to see like he's just telling a story, but like he's in this drunken rampage where people are like pulling swords and guns on him, and just like that's how you deliver exposition right there.
Oh yeah.
You have all this stuff going on, and you know his really long. That scene was long in telling that story on the pirate ship, and it's exciting. It's like, will it blow up? Won't it blow up?
It's really cool. Like that's a great sea battle. You know,
Yeah,
like the masts getting stuck, and
yeah,
it was awesome.
and that's super exciting. That's just like a flashback in a
Yeah.
movie. And I distinctly remember where I feel like the animation really soared was that downhill chase, where they had like even the bird coming after whatever the little poem that
Yeah,
they
the
have and
notes.
everything, and like they're going all out on it. I'm like, this is exciting, this is thrilling, and they had a really. It's so funny that this is supposed to be French because it ended so Britishly. It's like we're gonna have a fight in a harbor.
Yeah.
And like even that, like the final battle on the boat, it had its like exciting moments. And I think for me, the biggest thing that stuck out to me is I love the voice cast here. And you know, Jamie Bell's great as Tintin. Andy Serkis is obviously just having a ball. Like he's having so much fun with this.
Hmm.
And I really think Daniel Craig was perfect for this. Like he just had like, because here's the thing. I feel like most people are thinking about like Benoit Blanc right
Right.
now and like forgetting like what he actually sounds like. He is a British dude. And yeah, I think he had like the perfect like menace to that character. And I love the design of that guy too. Like I feel like he just looked like a classic villain.
Hmm.
And of course, one of the two Thompsons.
Thompson and Thompson.
Thompson and Thompson. And because it's Thompson and Thompson.
Yep.
And it's just Simon Pegg and Nick Frost being super British in their bowlers and their mustaches. And it's just so much fun. And you could tell that this group of actors were having a blast. I'd be very interested to look into how this was recorded with like their voice and stuff like that, if they actually got to act off each other or not.
Oh, it was motion capture.
Yeah, so like I'm assuming like they at least got to share space with each other, because I
Yeah.
feel like that's always better, because like you some animated movies I feel like you can tell they're just like everybody showed up in the booth for like 2 hours and
Yeah.
then recorded stuff and then went home. You can really feel the energy going on in this. So, and that's the thing, because like motion capture so hot right then. Because I remember when Beowulf came out. Now that was something. Well, basically, Robert Zemeckis was just like, "Oh, look at this new toy," and
Right.
just made a whole bunch of movies as Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey. Just how many stop motion, motion capture performances he could do in one movie. But this is such a blast. I had so much fun with this. And where was more Tintin?
I know. Supposedly there's still some in development. That's what Peter Jackson's IMDb says, is that he's supposed to be directing an upcoming Tintin movie, but it's been like that for the longest time. So,
So I have to say something. Who's
okay.
worse at being like, I'm going to do this project and never doing it? Peter Jackson or Guillermo del Toro?
Well, they're buddies, or they were at least. So maybe they one of them rubbed off on the other.
I feel like Guillermo del Toro is probably worse, but like Peter Jackson's up there. It's just
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do Halo. What happened to that? And then they made Halo. And then I was just like,
And he kind of just came and went.
I'm just like, well, that was a thing.
Yeah.
They pulled the whole 95 Dread, where it's just like, why do I see Master Chief's face like 90% of the show? But you know, it's one of those kinds of things. Like this was Peter Jackson was still, I think, in that like post like build from like Lord of the Rings. He had King Kong out, and then had this producing with Steven Spielberg, and then the Hobbits came out,
Right.
and
This is
then
still pre-Hobbit. In the
yeah,
behind the scenes footage, you can see Peter Jackson is still very thin and healthy looking, and it's infamous that he became very unhealthy during the stress of the Hobbit shoot. So I think he still had his vigor for filmmaking during the time of Tintin.
I would love to be in a room where Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, Stephen Moffat, Edgar Wright, and Joe Cornish, if that happened, I want to be in that room when all of those people are just discussing this movie.
Yeah.
But like this just felt like a bunch of people really having a passion for the story, and it all really came to life in it. And like I said, where's more Tintin? I'm ready for it.
Give us some more.
Well, I guess the question is, how much does it make? It's a good question, because
Yeah.
it did it the nice guys and be like, we all love this. Wait, what do you mean nobody saw this? So here, because like I imagine this has a pretty decent budget. Okay, so box office $135 million world. I mean budget
That's the budget. Yeah.
$135 million. Ooh. Well, it made opening weekend like not even $10 million. It made 77 in the US, but it did make 374 worldwide. So it probably did make money.
Not
Like
much, but enough. But it seems like there should be enough there.
it reminds me of Fury Road, where it's just like it made just enough to make Warner Brothers some money.
Right.
So we'll have to see. But what else? Anything else that you wanted to talk about, Tintin?
Yeah, I have a couple of things, and again, most of it really just has to do with the animation, and this is pretty unusual for me because even if a movie is impressive technically, I'm typically checked out if there's nothing story-wise that's keeping me invested. So it's just another point in its favor that I was still invested in it. But this is the type of movie, just to harp back on the animation thing, it could only be animated. I think Spielberg initially wanted to make this live action with a dog being CGI, and he wanted Weta to help him. And when he went to Weta, Peter Jackson was like, "No, I'm a Tintin fan. You got to make this fully animated." And then, one thing led to another, and here we are with this movie. Like that. Talking about the flashback sequence again, that transition shot from when it's like all swords pointed at Andy Serkis to all guns back in the present day. Or my favorite shot of the movie is when Tintin is trying to get the keys for what ends up being the liquor cabinet. But he's trying to get the keys, and the boat is like rocking, and then the guys are just sliding all over on their beds. Like you can't do that in real life. You can't do that practically in camera. It's just so many little things that are so perfectly animated. And speaking of things that you can only do animated, is just like that downhill chase, going down past the thing, going up to the bird, and then going back down, and then going over to Daniel Craig's character, back to Tintin. It's just like, it's incredible. It's just, I can't get enough of talking about it.
Well, and how they were moving about too, like bouncing around, it's just like people would have been seriously hurt doing this. But these animated people, they're fine. They'll be okay. So one thing that I find very interesting about the visuals, like you could still tell this is like a Jans Kaminski DP'd movie. Like you see, because like he did do the cinematography, and there is still cinematography in this, and like the lighting, it looks like it. I'm just like, there's like, I have IMDb up, and there's just one shot of, you have Daniel Craig and Andy Serkis like staring at each other on the boat, and it's just like the lighting of it is just perfect, and it's just like, yep, that's a Kaminsky shot right there.
That's
and
someone who knows what he's doing.
Exactly. And of course John Williams too. And this definitely had like bits of like Indiana Jones in it and stuff like that, and it just felt so rousing and fun. And like, how old was John Williams at this point? Like,
Isn't he immortal?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like,
He's
how
like
else does
80
that
something
work?
now.
But you know, this is such a beautiful like shot film, which is so interesting for the fact that like it's animated and you don't really think about shot. Because like I
Right.
feel like the motion capture and stop motion are usually the main animation where you still have like cinematographers and stuff like that. Because like especially with stop motion, there is a camera, like you actually have to shoot it.
Right. Yeah.
You just like
It's just a lot different.
it's just like I shot. This is what I worked on. Oh my god, I worked on this for 2 weeks.
Could a
But like,
depressed person make this?
yeah, and you know, it's the lighting is amazing in this. It looks great. The characters look very distinct, and you know, it's just a fun time. And I had more fun watching this than like a decent amount of Spielberg films, at least from
Mm,
like the late 80s. Um, and like this is probably like at this point, because I've been ranking them as I've been going along, it's
okay.
probably middle of the road at this point for Spielberg, only because like all the other movies above it are just like masterpieces.
You're also about to hit the dud period, aren't you? Not
Well,
necessarily dud, but like not
less
not Jaws and
ins-
Indiana Jones,
I'm gonna say less
Jurassic Park.
inspired.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Because like I think Lincoln and Bridge of Spies and The Post are all really good movies. It just they didn't feel what is wonderful, and even this film shows it is Spielberg was inventive.
Mhm.
Spielberg's an auteur. He went out of his box, and like I feel like the only films that felt daring in any way were the BFG and Ready Player One, but like they didn't wind up great.
Yeah.
uh, I feel like something else got lost um, in those movies that his earlier films had, but like they were interesting technical achievements. Like nobody's gonna not say that like Ready Player One is impressive that they were able to make that all come to
Right.
life, but like at what cost? But like I still love Lincoln. I'm really looking forward to that episode. Um, and where I could just be like, and starring 10 minutes
I know.
later.
10 minutes later, we're on tier 2 of the big name.
Yes, we're on tier two of the actors that are in this movie. Because like obviously
Isn't
like
Adam
this,
Driver in like 2 scenes of that?
yeah, he I'm pretty sure he's the soldier that he tells the George Washington story to.
Okay.
And every time I see a portrait of George Washington, I do go into my Daniel Day-Lewis Lincoln impression and tell the story of the portrait of George Washington in the bathroom of a British lord. So, and just Bruce McGill just being like, wait a minute, are you going to tell one of your stories? I can't take any more of your stories, and just storms out. But anyway, that's for another episode. But yeah, this is the era that I'm going into next. I don't feel like he hits one completely out of the park again until like West Side
West
Story.
Side Story. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the Fablemans yet. I get to see I have a press screening on the 21st of November, so I get to see that like a little bit early. But like I've heard really amazing things about it. But you know, I like to wait and see it before I listen to all the festival buzz about
Right.
stuff. So like we'll have to see. But you know, I feel like after Munich, Spielberg didn't have like a truly great film again until West Side Story. That's a long time. And honestly, I was kind of past the point of thinking like Spielberg had like true greatness left. And then I saw West Side Story. I'm like, oh, ain't me wrong.
Right.
And hopefully it continues because basically what I do with the show is it these filmmakers that I've highlighted have new films, I am going to do special episodes for them. So like I will be doing whatever Ethan Cohen is coming out with. Like he has a film that he's doing on his own. Killers of the Flower Moon, I'll be doing for Scorsese when that comes out.
Didn't you interview one of the stars of the new Ethan Cohen movie? Geraldine Viswanathan? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. That was actually a little fun. I got like
maybe you should use your connection and get on the set of the movie or get a special interview.
I got 15 minutes with her. I only got 4 with Terry Crews. Both for Rumble on Paramount Plus. So, and I got to
still advertising the movie.
Well, the thing is, I got to ask her other questions besides just about Rumble, because that was my rule when I had Terry Crews for 4 minutes.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to ask him anything that wasn't Rumble related. I like Geraldine Viswanathan. Like, I love her in Miracle Workers with Daniel Radcliffe. I think that show's like legitimately funny. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the best show on television, but like every season with their weird anthology, I'm just like, I have fun with this. But it's going to be interesting wrapping up Spielberg and going to something completely different. And it'll be the first time I'm doing a director that has a distinct, like, not good period of their career.
You're going to have a rough few weeks.
Because, like, the Coens have never had, like, a truly bad dry spell. Like, I think the only film that people really think is, like, a bad movie is Lady Killers. And then
they would be right.
Huh?
And they would be right.
Like, and I even enjoy watching Lady Killers, but I'm like, this movie's stupid.
Yeah.
You can tell they were phoning it in, to be honest. And then, Kubrick, I hate Lolita. I hate that movie so much. But like everything else is like, and like people love, like, I would like to meet the person that loves Lolita. Like, I can appreciate it for like what it is. But then you have Spielberg and Scorsese. It's just like, they're two of the titans, and this is going to be a little bit of fun, different kind of thing. Gets in that B movie action going on.
Yeah.
But I guess, Robert, do you have any final thoughts on Tintin?
Yeah, 2 quick things. One being that I don't know if anyone else could have elevated the material of this movie the way Spielberg does. Like, give it to any current adventure director, like
or Zemeckis.
Or like whoever directed Jungle Cruise or something like that. You're just gonna get something boring.
You mean the one who directed Black Adam?
Yeah, Black Adam is fine, but like you're not gonna get.
Well, that's the same director who did Jungle Cruise.
Right. I know. Yeah, you're not gonna. Still not gonna get what you got with Spielberg doing Tintin.
Yeah, exactly.
I also wanted to mention the opening title sequence. Yes. I love it when directors like actually make good use of it and don't just like put it over like a bunch of establishing shots of the town or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, this felt like a Bond or a Mission Impossible or even like the 60s Batman movie. Like that, it was an excellent opening title sequence. I don't say that a lot.
He was channeling Catch Me If You Can. Mm-hmm. Again, because like that, it's a very old school thing, and I can't remember off the top of my head who the name of the guy that used to do all those like Hitchcock ones.
Oh, Saul Bass.
I knew it was Bass. Should have went with my gut. Didn't remember his first name though. It really felt like that, and it's with the music. John Williams had some really inspired moments, and during the opening credits was definitely one of them. Yeah. And it was so much fun. I'm like, it's one of those kinds of things where it's just like sometimes the opening credits, I'm like, I want to see this movie in this style. And like, because, that's one of my biggest things with Kung Fu Panda. I love those movies unabashedly. But like the flashback sequences, I'm like, why couldn't the whole movie be like that? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to see that. But, studio execs like, people don't like 2D animation anymore. I'm like, well, screw you.
You just stopped giving it to us. It's like,
exactly.
It's your own fault.
You're like Andy from Toy Story. You got computer generation. Like, I don't want to play with this anymore. It just dropped 2D animation. Like, literally, the first one that Disney's done in like 15 years is the Bob's Burgers movie, and they didn't even make that one.
It doesn't.
They just bought it. So,
right.
And like, no, I did not want to see Bob's Burgers in 3D. I would not want to vomit. Like, that does not work in 3D, just like the Rugrats don't.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Paramount.
I've seen things.
I've seen things. I watched that whole first season. But if you haven't seen The Adventures of Tintin, show us some love and go onto the web, like the internet, and be like, "Where's it, Tintin 2?" And keep pressuring. If they can make Justice League happen,
I know.
the Snyder Cut, why can't we get Tintin 2 and the Nice Guys 2? I'm throwing that one out there too. You listening there, Discovery? We'll find out. They're definitely not. They don't have the money to do it. But time for some recommendations. So, Robert, what would you like to recommend to the lovely people listening and watching?
Well, I'll do a little Anne Hathaway theme because I've just been looking at like upcoming movies from big name actors or directors and seeing what of their back catalog I've missed. Mm-hmm. And Anne Hathaway got nominated for Best Actress for Rachel Getting Married, and I'd never seen it. So I figured I'd go watch it before Armageddon Time comes out. So I watched it, and I had no idea what to expect, but it was a very, very good look at family trauma, grief, guilt, reconciliation. Anne Hathaway is great in it, unsurprisingly. You and I, before we turned on the cameras, or before we started recording, said that Bill Irwin, who plays her dad in this movie, is just incredible. Like, he steals every single scene that he's in, like either comedically or, emotionally.
Yep.
It's shot like a mockumentary, like an episode of The Office. I don't really think that cinematography style lands for the movie. That's my one big negative. And there are some extended periods of time where it's just like he lingers on some shots for a little bit too long. But besides that, it's a really good movie. It's an emotional one too, and definitely worth a watch.
Absolutely. And I was telling Robin, like, I haven't watched this movie in 11 years since I watched it in film club in college. Still remember Bill Irwin's performance. And also, I'm a huge Anne Hathaway fan. I love Anne Hathaway. Like, why is she in less things now? And why does the internet hate her for some reason?
I can't answer either one of those questions because I have no idea. Did she get married, have kids? I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
some people just decide to step away.
Like, that's what she did. She starred in the Robert Zemeckis movie.
Ruining everything he touches these days.
And she was just in that series about, oh crap, what the hell
she was it? With Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, God. I thought his Luigi accent in House of Gucci was bad. But Anne Hathaway was great in that series. And, I'm excited to see her in Armageddon Time, and hopefully she'll pop up in some other things. I have 3 recommendations because I actually did watch one of my own movies, watch a new movie, and watch a watch list movie this week, so I could share them because that's what I strive for. Number 1 is Knives Out, which I got to rewatch recently. I felt like, Glass Onion coming out, love to rewatch Knives Out. Still so great. Love every second of that movie. And just the whole entire cast is amazing. Like, from top to bottom, even down to Jaden Martell, aka the little Nazi kid.
Masturbating in the bathroom.
Yes. Masturbating Nazis. And just like how amazing Chris Evans is. The second he walks on screen, it's just like grabs everybody's attention. Ana de Armas is just a wonderful actress in literally everything. So put her in everything. But
especially blonde.
Yeah. What?
Especially blonde.
Oh, I have a lot of feelings about that. A lot of feelings about that movie.
Can I say real quick about Chris Evans? I think he's been just trying to play against the Captain America type since he finished Captain America, especially with Knives Out and The Gray Man. Yeah. It worked great in Knives Out. Didn't work as well in The Gray Man, in my opinion. So I hope he just chooses roles that are interesting and not just being like the shithead for the sake of being a shithead.
I think that even when he was Captain America, I feel like Snowpiercer was a place that really pushed him into
Yeah,
like a darker place, and I appreciated that a lot about that movie. I love Snowpiercer.
it's great.
Um, I could be like, I was one of those Americans who was high on Bong Joon Ho before Parasite came out. See, I watched Okja too, so I could be that guy, but I'm not going to be because then I'm going to sound like an
Yeah.
ass. So, one of the new movies, like I have so many thoughts about this movie, and we even shared thoughts on Slack about it. Is Triangle of Sadness?
Oh, yeah.
My God, like this movie is definitely 3 acts. The
Oh,
first
yeah.
act, I'm like, I'm. Did we walk into the wrong movie? Like sitting there watching like these two models, basically their relationship just imploding, and I'm just like, I'm not enjoying myself right now. But this really is tense and uncomfortable and awkward. Not gonna lie though, that opening sequence with the guy interviewing all of them was hilarious.
It was
Love,
great. Yeah.
love that. And then they get on the boat, and um, the whole I dropped a whole letter grade because not enough Woody Harrelson, which I feel like a lot of the themes and ideas were really heavy-handed in that section of the film because like it's literally Woody Harrelson reading things out to the audience.
Yeah.
And I'm just
He's
like,
reading Noam Chomsky.
I'm just like, while people are like toilets are overflowing, I'm just like, what is this? And then I'm gonna stop there because
Yeah,
here's the thing: I didn't watch a trailer for this, so I have no idea what they give away or not. But I did not see that third act coming,
me either.
and then it got way interesting. And the ending, a lot of thoughts. This movie's crazy, like, and so you know what? One movie I really want to go back and watch is The Circle, which this director did with like Elizabeth Moss and Dominic West and Terry Notary. I remember
Mm.
that coming out and getting a bunch of buzz for Best International Feature. So like I want to go back because like if this is any indication of what this director can do, Ruben Ostlund, I'm just like,
Mhm.
okay, fascinating.
I
The
wanted.
word for that.
I haven't seen any of his other movies, and I also want to go check them out because apparently this is part of like a spiritual trilogy
Mhm.
with The Circle, and I think is it Force Majeure? Did he make? Is that his?
I'm not
Um,
sure.
I could be completely wrong, but I know it's part of like one of those
Yeah.
fake trilogies, is the way that the Edgar Wright movies are. So I'd be interested to go back. I didn't get to do that like I did with Anne Hathaway, but I want to see what this guy's what he's done because
Yeah.
you're right. That third act was it was something else. It was interesting. I think it would have worked better as its own movie. Um, but
That's
Woody
the thing.
Harrelson,
This movie feels like 3 movies. Like,
I think the first two sections work together well because at least there's some through line. It's like, oh, they're rich people doing rich people / influencer stuff. But then again, not going to spoil the third act. But it's like, oh, this is completely different.
and now for something completely different. And one film that I knocked off my watch list for Rowan in the Wasteland, which this episode will come out probably in 2 months, is Miracle. Because I remember seeing parts of this in school. Like it was one of those things where like they showed this in school, but I don't remember anything about it except Kurt Russell.
Mhm.
And I completely forgot. Like I didn't even realize like one, this is from Gavin O'Connor. So like this is the director of Warrior. So like this isn't like some sheeny like Disney under like this isn't like Mighty Ducks, let's say.
Right. Yeah.
Like this actually feels like a grit, like this film has grit to it, and damn, I love Kurt Russell. Maybe that's why I'm so excited.
I was gonna say,
John
yeah.
Carpenter. Gonna get to do all the Kurt Russell. But Kurt Russell's great in this. Even Noah Emmerich, who I really like because of like The Americans and The Truman Show. And this is, yeah, it's an underdog story. We get it, but like it's like the ultimate underdog story. It's like those damn Russians. We fought communism. We punched it right in the face.
Speaking of heavy-handed.
Yes. But then it also didn't feel like an obnoxious, like, oorah patriotic film either. Like, I feel like Gavin O'Connor turned out to be the perfect person to actually like make this movie. The hockey scenes were exciting. I love every second Kurt Russell's on screen, even when he's being a dick and making them do suicides until they like fall over. But like, it's a really good, strong sports movie. I might have to go back and look at my list of favorite sports movies and reconsider where this one might lie. Might have to take out some baseball. I have a lot of baseball movies in it. Like, no surprise.
There's a lot of great baseball movies.
There sure are. And my number one's Major League because I just love that movie to pieces.
Someone tweeted a scene the other night from that of one of the guys talking to Charlie Sheen about having substances all over his body. One of the pitchers.
Where
because of
like
Framber Valdez.
I forget. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's a great, like, he was in like a bunch of 80s stuff. And he's like, kid, I'm not young like you. I gotta find everything I got. Sometimes I put some that hot sauce up my nostrils. Just like, you put snot on the ball? And he's like, Vagisil. Just like Vaseline. Just like, yep. 100%. Yeah, F the Astros.
Yes.
And their illegal bats and guys throwing themselves in front of pitches. And
they're not even using the trash cans anymore, and they're still finding ways to screw around.
They are facing the right team in the Phillies, because when Nick Castellanos ripped his shirt up after they won game one to just be like, hey, look. I'm just like, there's an attitude here. They're not ready for Philly. Yep. Oh, and being from this area, there's a lot of energy in the air right now. And we'll see how it turns out.
We live a couple hours apart, but we're both Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania adjacent, so we're both getting that wave of Phillies.
But Robert, thank you so much for coming on, as always.
Of course. Anytime.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.